Hi, my name is Kara Myers, and I'm excited to share with you how we do an online lesson here at FortePiano Studio. So I'm going to start off showing you my camera setup. So I've got my iPad currently as a secondary webcam. So you can both see me sitting at the piano from the side, which is also, of course, adjustable. And also you can see the piano from the top down, just with a quick click of the button, just like that. So then I can show you exactly which notes to play and so forth. Now the nice thing about this camera is that I can adjust it in order to show pretty much like the whole piano, maybe not like quite all of it, but very close to all of it. And I can also show a very specific position if necessary. So I can zoom in really nice and close like that, especially for younger students. And we can show those notes really nice and clear with my fingers. Now, this isn't the only way that I can show the piano notes. This way is my favorite. I'm going to use a program called Maestro, and it has a bunch of different types of ways to customize it. So I can change key signatures up here and do all sorts of cool things, including showing chord functions and so forth. But just at its most simple level, I can play a note on the piano, on my digital piano, and it will show you where that note is both on the full keyboard and on the grand staff. So you can see how it's changing as I play. It'll also show you these pedals here. Now I only have one pedal connected right now. It's the right hand pedal, the damper pedal. And I can show you when I'm changing pedals, which is really, really important when you want to study pedaling. Now if I want to show like 3 notes at a time, you can see here that it's showing it as a chord on both the keyboard and the grand staff as well. Okay, so screen sharing. Lots of things we can do with screen sharing. And if you're familiar with Zoom, you're probably very familiar with the whiteboard option. So I'm just going to demonstrate one way that we could use this in a lesson. Obviously, there's a million ways to use the whiteboard. But here's a fun one. Okay, so the family tree of note values. So we have our whole note up here, which is worth 4 beats. I'll put the beats over to the side. And down the line here we have half notes. Now it takes 2 half notes to make a whole note, so we've got 2 of these descended from 1 of these. And each of those are worth 2, because again 2 plus 2 equals 4. Now each of these half notes can be divided again in half into, if you know your fractions, quarter notes, yay. And quarter notes are probably the most standard type of note because they usually equal 1 beat. So right on the beat, that's our quarter note. Now, if we divide the quarter note into 2, we're getting into smaller and smaller fractions here. We're getting actually into what we call the eighth notes. Now, because eighth notes share a beat, there has to be 2 of them to make 1 beat. We tend to connect them with a beam at the top. So we actually have 2 eighth notes. Now I'm going to draw the last set separately. So a single eighth note by itself would look like this. There's another single eighth note. But generally speaking, we usually connect them across the top because that way it forms groupings of 1 beat. However, each one by itself is only half, right? Because we need 2 halves to make a whole beat. Okay, now I'm going to divide that again one more time just for fun. We're getting into the tricky ones now. Now, if we divide the eighth notes in half, we get 16th notes. Now, if you're really good at math, tell me how many 16th notes do you need to group together in order to make 1 beat? And if you can see what I'm doing there at the bottom of the screen, you'll probably already have guessed. Indeed, we need 4 16th notes. So if we need 4 16th notes to make a single beat, then how many beats is 1 16th note, do you think? I'll let you think about that for a second while I finish this here. Now the last one I'm going to draw as individual 16th notes once again. So we've got the 2 tails this time, and you probably figured it out already. Each one is individually worth a quarter beat. That's why we need 4 quarter beats in order to make a single whole beat. So if we were to use this in, say, a piano lesson, we'd put on a backing track. There's lots of different types of backing tracks that I have. Let's grab one from the iPad here. Fun one from an app called Music Clock, which if you're wanting to learn piano, super fun app. It's so addictive. You're just going to want to play around with this forever. Now you probably don't have the best sound of that right now because I don't have it connected to my computer system. So what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to point with my pointer here to the note value, and then I just want you to clap along and hold that note for however many beats it has. So before we do that, it's always a good idea to just feel a single beat first. Okay, I think I know where the beat is. 1, 2, ready, go. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now you keep going. I'm going to switch it, ready? I'm going to jump down here. Okay, I'm going to switch it again. Keep going. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, keep it going. Switch it. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and a 1, 2 and 3. Okay, ready? Keep going. Ready, switching. And let's finish it off. Keep going till I say switch. And switch. One and ready, stop. Alright, so that's a great introduction to basic note values, and you can see how much fun we can have just with a simple whiteboard. Okay, more screen sharing. So this time I'm going to show you an example of a game. So this is a game that is going to show us how to kind of move around a piece. So pieces are made out of lines and then measures. Each of these little boxes is called a measure or a bar. And it's really important when you're talking about music, especially online where I can't just point to your music directly as easily. It's really important to be able to say, okay, line 2, measure 3, which would be here, or say measure 16, and then you'd go all the way down and say, actually, we don't have a measure 16 in this one. Measure 12 is the last one. But that's really important for being able to navigate your music. So we play a little game where we put a little heart and a star at the beginning, and then we just kind of flip to the cards, move to the beginning of the second last phrase. Okay, so phrases are underneath these curved lines here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the second last phrase, the beginning of it would be there. So I'm going to move my star over there. Okay, move to the second measure. Okay, so I'm the heart now, and I'm going to move up here, and so forth. And then we would keep playing until somebody landed on the fun little rainbow one at some point during the game. So I have a very large library of these games that I can screen share, and those are from vibrantmusicteaching.com for the most part, which is a wonderful teacher subscription. They have so many great games that are very, very focused on teaching musical concepts. All right, so another type of screen share that's really important is when we're looking at music. So I can show this different ways. I can show it zoomed in kind of like this, and I can also show it full screen mode like this. So this can be kind of small depending on what device you're on. So if you're on, say, an iPhone, which I don't recommend as much, but if you are on an iPhone, we can just kind of find that one spot that we're talking about, really, really zoom it nice and big so you can see. But what we often like to do before we learn a song is we will mark up the music. So we'll color, say, treble clefs red, because we always associate red with the right hand, blue with the left hand, so that means bass clef is blue. We might highlight, say, the rests, because it's really easy to forget those. Obviously there's a bunch down here too, so lots of rests. Another thing we might mark is whether or not the song uses skipping notes. So right here we've got some skipping notes that are played simultaneously, so we might highlight those. And we can just kind of navigate around the score and talk about, okay, what time signature are we in? 3/4 time. Are there any black keys in the song? Looks like we have some flats here. So we can look at the score together, and students get an experience of looking at somebody else pointing to something and then having to find it on their score. And again, that's a great navigational tech tool, I suppose, that they can put in their pockets as they're following along with the music. They develop more confidence with navigating the music. All right, so that's just a little glimpse of like a shortened version of a lesson. So I hope that helps you kind of get an idea for what we would do during an online lesson and how we can easily explore all the different elements of music without being constrained by a different format. So definitely be in touch if you have any questions, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.